It's time for Washington Fish Quest! This episode, Hood Canal Oyster Shuck and Smoke. Hey Washington Fish Questers, Blake here. Thank you for 1 million views. I'm here on the shore of Little Whoop State Park. I usually actually like to oyster up at Eagle Creek, which is just a little north of here, but it's starting to get kind of late, and it's one of those tides where it's sort of right at dusk. Probably at about a plus 0.5 right now. It's before springing forward. You know, a couple weeks from now wouldn't matter. But at any rate, just want to say thank you for 1 million views. This is my thank you video. I'm going to sit here and shuck some oysters. I love smoked oysters, so I'm going to just shuck my limit, then go home and try a just smoked oyster recipe I haven't tried to celebrate. And I'll wax philosophic while I'm sitting here shucking. So I guess before I do that, let me tell you about Little Whoop Beach State Park. It's a pretty lovely little state access area. There's just a dirt parking lot, and then there's a really nice staircase that you just walk right on down to the beach. And then right there is, I don't know if that's called Little Whoop Bay or what, but it's right by the Little Whoop General Store. Beautiful little area. And as far as the oysters go, lots of photogenic, pretty oysters, like just lovely Hood Canal oysters. Lots of oyster clusters, which I actually kind of prefer even more than the singles. Whenever I'm buying oysters, I always buy clusters because they're cheaper, usually. And I don't know, I just like just being able to shuck like 4 things off of a rock instead of 1 thing. Here's oyster number 1. Alright, I tell you what, maybe I'm just gonna bring back 17 because this oyster looks pretty good. I love Hood Canal oysters, they're so sweet. So that counts against my limit though. So I'm going to bring home 17 oysters to smoke. So yeah, I guess before I start waxing philosophic, I'll do some reminders about oystering in Washington. Limit's 18 a person. You got to leave all the shells on a beach if it's a public beach so that the oysters can reseed. Of course, always check the Department of Health's website or call their hotline, which I'll put the details of both in the description of the video to make sure that, come on you, that there's no marine biotoxin closure, in addition to it just being open seasonally. Well, 1 million views. What does that mean to me? You know, I think quite a lot. I mean, not only is 1 million a nice number, it's to say when someone asks how big your channel is, you can say, well, I got 1 million views. I mean, that sounds kind of cool. Don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people have 1 million views, but a lot of people don't. But what's even more important to me is I set up Washington Fish Quest at the beginning, and I knew what I was doing at the time, almost 9 years ago. I didn't want to make it clickbaity, you know, I didn't want to make it sensational. I wanted to make something that you kind of like stumbled into, and hopefully if you liked it, you just kept watching the videos from there on in. So that's part of the reason I had the naming how I did, where it's just me targeting a different species. But you know, there's no, you know, man catches monster fish or whatever, you know what I mean? It's all just Washington Fish Quest EP, whatever. So that was by design. I mean, I wasn't really in it to get a bunch of views. For any new channel, though, I wouldn't recommend going with the stumble across my videos approach, because back when I was doing it started, there was only 3 or 4 other fishing channels. And really only one that was kind of like hosts that weren't necessarily trying to either sell a website or books or tackle or something, and that was called Fishing Together Forever, also known as the F24 Experience. I still want my F24 Experience, by the way. So back then, I think you could do that. You know, I could post up a Washington fishing video 9 years ago, and people would be like, oh, a fishing video from Washington State, how novel. Now there's, you know, somewhere between 2 and 3 dozen active channels, a couple mega channels. There's a channel out there right now that gets over 1 million views a month, you know, and then there are some other channels that, you know, they'll post a video and they'll go viral. I've never had a viral video, so that's another reason I think 1 million views is really cool. Definitely call it very workmanlike. Thanks to all of you that I got there. So at any rate, a very heartfelt thank you. You know, I asked, or I declared, I should say, about a month ago that getting 1 million views is important to me. You know, and I put out some content, don't get me wrong, but I really appreciate you, my friends and subscribers for just watching my stuff, my views are up 110%. So basically more than double than what it usually is. So I appreciate that I asked for that, and people came through and did watch my stuff as I put it out. I'd say I'm probably kind of a crossroads of what the channel is going to be going forward. So, you know, I've proved now I can just chum out videos, you know, a couple a week even if I wanted to. But at the same time, I'd like to make a higher quality product. So I need to find some kind of middle ground with that, you know, something where I'm posting like very regularly, maybe a couple times a month, 2 or 3 times a month, but still have those really good episodes, you know, where it's 20 minutes long and it's more like an adventure. I mean, that's what the quest in Fish Quest really is. It's not so much about, you know, me being the master of a fishery or anything. It's about going on an adventure, you know, and just trying to encourage people to get outside and go fish or oyster or whatever. That's the best compliment I can receive, is when someone says, hey, I watched your video, then I just had to go run out and get some oysters, or, you know, go try to learn fly fishing or whatever it is. Look at that. Big old flat oyster. Kinda like them when they're flat. I like more muscle than fat on my oysters. And I also drank a couple more, so I'll probably just get a dozen called it good to make sure I don't go over limit. Alright, well that's going to do it for my harvesting part. I'm going to head back and see if I can find a good smoke recipe and do a shuck and cook here. But if that doesn't interest you, I just want to say thank you so much for being part of 1 million views. It's real important to me, like I said, and I just super appreciate you coming through, everybody. Alright, let's get smoking. Somebody stop me. Do not go in there. Haha. Laces out, Dan. At any rate, I'm going to go ahead and smoke up these oysters now. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take some white wine and put it in the bottom of this here pan and steam the oysters. The reason I'm not just blanching them, which is when you put something in boiling water, is I want the steam to not get them too hot. If you blanch them for too long, they can become rubbery. So I'm going to have these guys steaming for about 3 or 4 minutes. Then I'm going to take them, and I've set aside their nectar from the baggie, and I'm going to mix them with their nectar, a little water. I'm going to cool down that white wine, and I'm going to put in a little soy and let them soak for about half an hour. Then I'm going to smoke them for about 2 hours using some wood chips. See, I'm putting it through a mesh screener there, so that way I get any shell fragments. I'm just left with the nectar there. Alright, I'll let that sit for about 4 minutes, so kind of medium-high. Alright, we're coming up on 4 minutes here. I'm going to take the lid off. Oh, they look good. Let's see here. Oh yeah, they got plenty hot. So I'm just going to add a little more white wine to the oyster nectar. There we go. Get some soy. I killed the bottle. And just because I'm something of a party animal, some garlic. Then because I wanted to, you know, stop the process of cooking the oysters. Some ice, that's going to be the water. And mix it up. Alright, I'm going to let those oysters sit in there and soak it up for maybe 20-30 minutes. Alright, we'll be using some apple chips today. Maybe a little too much. Alright, the smokers are smoking. They've been in this kind of brine for 25 minutes or so. In case you wonder why there's no salt and it's not really a brine job, his oysters are already so salty. I've tried brining them old school, you know, with salt and brown sugar and stuff, and they just come out way too salty. So at any rate, I am still going to rinse them off though. And then you put them on, you know, the regular smoker grates, and you just go like this to make sure they don't fall through. Alright, in they go. Put them in the middle row here. Alright, I just pulled these off the smoker. They were out for an hour and 50 minutes. They look great. If they look a little shiny, it's because I just splashed them with olive oil, basically. And that's how I will store them, in olive oil. Well, time to see if they taste as good as they look. Those are great. Holy smokes. I'm going to put up a recipe here. And she's not really specific, but those are really good. Let me see how to describe them. Smoky for sure. They're not overdone. You know, they're not teriyaki oysters. They're smoky, savory. Still very oystery. They've maintained a lot of their kind of like essence, if that makes sense. As soon as you pop them in your mouth, you know that's a quality product. So thank you so much. Thanks again for 1 million views. It's almost been 9 years. Thank you so much for being here along the journey with me. Oh, hey, say, I got 2 or 3 other oyster recipes I'd like to try. Let me know in the comments section if you'd like to have me do a video on those. It'll probably just be a straight up cooking video. So thank you so much. Hope you're along for the next 1 million here on Washington Fish Quest.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
Oh, very good, very good. Just shooting a YouTube video in case you're wondering why I got.
Really? So you're gonna post one of those like video logs?
Kinda, yeah. Yeah. Whoa!
Northwest Life.
Yeah. I think there is one called Northwest Life.
Gotta think of a better name then.